Hi there, tubers. This is your Suburbanator. Well, I'm proud to announce that it is finally here. My new computer. All new guts, new processor, motherboard. My brother here, he's the one who built it. He's going to explain everything in a moment. But I just want to show where it is. I mean, even the casing is big. I tried putting these blocks under the computer legs. I mean, not the computer, the desk legs, but yeah, that's something else I'm going to get creative with for another day. So without further ado, let me turn the tables over to my brother, and he'll explain about this computer and what he did. So how you doing, bro?
I'm happy that I finally built your computer.
And try to explain what exactly went wrong with my other one. Why I couldn't even run the Roxio, and you ran some kind of benchmark.
Well, it was an old computer from, what did you say, 2008, 2009?
Yeah, I bought it late 08, early 09. There were all the original guts. It was an old HP.
So it was a computer that was obviously old, and probably then it probably wasn't anything home to write about. So I opted to just build everything myself, because I build my own computer, and once you find out how much cheaper and more efficient and everything is, you don't go back to buying computers anymore.
No, and I don't even think you can get something like that from the factory unless you bought like an Alienware
no,
or something.
not for what you ultimately paid for it. Yeah.
I mean, this was quite a budget here. I mean, under $400. You can't go wrong.
Yep.
I mean, how much would a computer like that from the factory cost if I wanted to buy something like that from the factory?
It's been so long since I bought anything from a factory that I couldn't say for sure, but I get a feeling that they would have had no problem. Just gut feeling, they probably would have had no issue selling it for $600 or $700, and that's before any kind of warranty, depending where you buy it, tax and shipping, and if you bought it online, it would have been expensive.
I thought you could spend just like $700 on what is it, motherboards or
graphics card. I spent $700 on a graphics card, and if I'm really lucky, I won't need to buy a graphics card.
So I'm saying to have something like that come from the factory, like that can, now you're talking like an Alienware that can run you like $3 to $5 grand. It is.
You know what? I think of Alienwares now as I think of video game consoles, which I still like, by the way. I intend to get the new generation systems, but it seems like it seems like an easier way to just, cherry pick your settings if you don't feel like building it yourself, and you definitely feel like spending more money, and you will. You could get, good with it. You can get good specs.
So, tell me more. Tell me what you did for this particular computer that I'm looking at here.
Well, the only remnants of your old computer that are in there are the hard drive, which was wiped anyway, and the optical drive, which is just CDs and bullshit, so that wasn't anything specific. We bought a new motherboard, we bought a new processor, we actually recycled RAM from one of my earlier computers, so we recycled that. So, and you also have one of my older graphics cards in there, so the only parts we ended up buying was the case, the power supply, the motherboard, and the processor. And all that stuff by itself was $275.
Now, you ran a benchmark and you just gave my old computer a 1, even though...
Right.
Explain to me why you did that again?
Because your old computer would not even run the benchmark. We were trying to run the Final Fantasy XIV, A Realm Reborn benchmark, and we simply could not run it. It just... Some problem with the DirectX, some problem with... And it probably had everything to do with the fact that you did not even have a discrete GPU in your old computer. It was just completely on board, and it wasn't meant for anything with higher definition than... okay, I had a joke, but it didn't work. It was just bad. It was not meant for running games. It was hardly meant for video editing. So, when we got to that point where you wanted to start video editing, we simply couldn't. So, I took a build, pitch to Austin Evans, watch his YouTube channel. He's a pretty cool guy for anything computer related. That's where I go to. He had this cheap $600 build for, run Battlefield 3 on max, run all these games on their max settings or very high settings, all for $600. So I used that build, I discounted the parts that we already had, and it ended up being a little less than $400.
Yeah. And that's another thing
I'm sorry, I was forced to give you a score of 1 because we couldn't run it, because it was just we couldn't give it a 0.
Because anything times 0 is 0.
So what we ended up saying was, I'm giving you a score of 1, and whatever score we get after we build the PC,
which is this one here,
it is exactly that many times better than your old PC.
What was that score again in the ballpark? I forgot the exact number though.
Oh, it was well over 10,000.
Like 11,700 something. So this is literally 11,000 times better than my old computer. But
that's just numbers. But yeah, so we recycled a lot of parts. We bought a few new parts. That is actually the same exact case that I have. I love the shit out of that case. Your power supply will hold you over. The graphics card will hold you over.
And it's more future-proof, as you were saying before. Like, if we have to stick a bigger motherboard in there, we can.
Yes, it is. Right now you have a micro ATX motherboard in there. It's fully capable of taking a standard ATX in there. We have room for 4 more hard drives. Looks like 2 more 5.25 expansion bays if we want to put something like a fan controller, or if we want to put more front-facing USBs or something of that nature.
So this thing will definitely be with me for a long time.
It should be, and you know what? As soon as one part starts to go out, we can replace it instead of having to get a whole new computer, which is another.
Because everything's all aftermarket.
Everything's all aftermarket. Most of these parts are actually guaranteed to work for life. Especially your power supply. Those things they guarantee.
Oh, that power supply is more than I'll ever need, even if I run that bigger motherboard, though. Right? I mean, it's a 600 watt.
Well, when you're talking about what takes up the most wattage, it's actually the graphics card. You have enough wattage to support the graphics card that I have, the $700 piece of shit. You have enough to support that, but you're running a 660. I'm running a 780 Ti, so.
But the thing that differs me from you is that I'm only looking to edit videos, but correct me if I'm wrong here, you are going to need some gaming properties with your computer if you're going to run any kind of editing software. Am I right to say that?
Yes, you're definitely right to say that. You definitely need more memory. You had a weird 6 gigabytes of memory over 4 sticks in your processor. In your old computer. I don't know how that works. Like, what's 6 divided by 4?
1.5 actually.
No, that would. Okay, so there was 1.5. There was 1.5 gigabytes to each stick, which is just freaking weird. But,
factory computers, right?
That may have something to do with it. The whole thing was weird with your computer, but again, factory built. It's really hard to mess with those.
But still, it was a darn good computer, that HP. I mean, I made the friggin' thing last 5 years, you know?
I guess for as long as it lasted you, yes, it was alright.
And a habit of mine, I tend to hold on to my older technology until I just can't hold on to it no more. Like, I can't hold on to it anymore even if I wanted to.
I hardly was barely able to manage to get you to buy that case.
Yeah. No, I'm not using the desk as a yardstick anymore. I'll have the desk modified, or I'm just going to get a new one altogether.
The whole thing is you wanted your computer under here, and that just wasn't going to happen.
Yeah. But you know what?
Even with the other case, it would have been hard.
Yeah, it would have taken a bit of doing, but you know what? It would have been stupid to not get the proper computer because of that one problem. Mm-hmm. So, I am glad I acquiesced. And the other thing was, this is up your alley like the cars are up my alley. I mean, I wanted you to call the shots. You made your case to me, no pun intended, that this was the case to have. So, despite this problem, I'm happy to have it.
It's an excellent case. I love it.
I mean, you can put, 4 more fans in this? And I intend to put more fans in this case.
2 more on the top, 2 more on the bottom, 2 more on the side.
So give it some... But I don't have to go too crazy with the fans until I put, the bigger motherboard and stuff like that, right?
You don't even need to go crazy with the fans ever with the parts that you have in there, unless you intend to do some serious overclocking, which wasn't all that hard to do. We did it by accident, which affected your benchmark score, by the way. But you still squeaked over 10,000, which is still
the other side of 11,000.
Yes. But no, it's a very good little system. I'd say that the biggest thing for me was that just getting used to AMD motherboards and processors. That was another thing that screwed.
It was a lot of trial and error, but you know,
it wasn't trial and error. It was nothing was fucking working right the first time. I'm surprised we didn't have issues with the motherboard this time, or the RAM, or something. Because what was the first thing that happened?
We were sent a damaged processor by
That's
Newegg.
right.
And then it snowed in between, so that became a whole week
They
long.
sent us a processor in the same box that had a heavy-ass power supply and motherboard. Well, the power supply more than anything, with no extra padding, so that motherfucking thing was just kicking around, and some pins, all the pins were fucking bent. Some of them were moved, were gone. So I had to send that back. And then what was the next thing? Aside from the snow, I think it was the power supply.
Yeah, you had to fight with that.
Oh, and the power and the case, because as much as I love Austin Evans, that guy, the case that he recommended for that particular 2013 $600 bill, that case is a piece of shit. Do not get that case. But that's besides the point. I ended up returning the case because it was a piece of crap. We ended up returning the power supply because it was dead on arrival. They had the new power supply to us in one day, and then I had the 3-day delivery for Newegg on the case. So here we are on Monday.
Well, actually, it's now Tuesday. It's we've been up all night dealing with this, and
Who's we been dealing with this?
well, I kind of, but he did most of the. You did most of the work, Eric, and
I'm just kidding.
and no, seriously, Eric, I cannot thank you enough, and I just can't thank him enough. This is really up his alley. He saved me a lot of money, and the best part is, hey, we still live in the same house, so my customer service right on the other side of this wall.
Well,
I don't have to be on.
You've been my mechanic longer than I've been your tech support guy, so
Well, Eric,
it's all part and parcel.
Yeah, but hey, you know what? All I know is you're right there if I need to grab you. I don't have to be on the phone for half an hour to get a hold of someone who can only understand every word I'm saying from the other side of the earth. So, despite all the frustrations that took place, just seeing this Roxio work in one shot and not seize up, that is just, that was amazing. It's been worth all the aggravation so far. There's a few other things I got to tweak, but I'll have that all dealt with within the next couple hours. Well, bro, I just want to thank you very much for your time.
Okay.
And, yeah, here it is, folks. So, I just got to edit this up, and the Suburbanator channel is up and running again. Have yourselves a good, I guess you still call it evening, right?
Have a good night day.
Yeah, have a good night day. There you go.